First contact fallout. The Kalian exploration vessel Starward Seeker drifted silently through the outer reaches of the Sol system, its quantum drive humming with the soft resonance that had lulled Captain Nera Vext to sleep countless times during her 2-decade career. The ship's sleek, crystalline hull reflected the distant light of Earth's sun as Nera's four-fingered hand brushed across the navigation console. "Scan complete, Captain," announced First Officer Lyran, his translucent skin shifting to a deep violet that indicated concentration. "The anomalous energy signature appears to be emanating from the third planet. Preliminary analysis suggests it doesn't match any known technology in our database." Nera's brow ridges furrowed. "That's impossible. According to our records, this system contains only a primitive pre-spaceflight civilization. They shouldn't be capable of generating energy signatures we can't identify." Science Officer Talon approached, his movements fluid in the ship's artificial gravity. "Our records on this system are over 300 cycles old, Captain. Standard protocol merely required passive observation from a distance." "Well, something's changed," Nera replied, studying the holographic display. "Adjust course for a closer observation orbit. Stealth protocols maximum." The Starward Seeker altered its trajectory, accelerating toward the blue-green world that grew larger on their view screen. None of the crew noticed the small fluctuation in the quantum stabilizer, a critical component that had gone too long without proper maintenance in the resource-strapped Kalian exploratory fleet. The ship shuddered violently, throwing Nera against the command chair. "Status report," she demanded as warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Quantum stabilizer failure," Lyran reported, his skin paling to nearly white. "Drive system cascading toward complete shutdown. We're losing orbital control." Engineering Chief Maris's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain, the stabilizer crystal has fractured. We're leaking quantum particles into normal space. We need to land immediately or risk a catastrophic breach." Nera's heart raced as she processed their options. "Emergency landing protocols. Find us somewhere isolated on the planet's surface. There's a forested region in the northern hemisphere with minimal population density," Talon reported. "It's our best option." "Take us down," Nera ordered, "and activate the cloaking field. Let's try to keep this quiet." The Starward Seeker descended through Earth's atmosphere, its heat shields glowing as friction built up around the ship. The cloaking technology strained under the stress but held, at least until the final moments of their descent, when the overtaxed system failed completely. The ship crashed through the forest canopy, carving a half-kilometer scar into the earth before coming to rest in a small clearing. Inside, the crew picked themselves up from the floor as emergency systems cycled through damage reports. 3 crew injured, reported Medical Officer Seth. "Nothing life-threatening." Nera nodded grimly. "Maris, damage assessment. The quantum drive is offline. The stabilizer crystal is completely shattered," the engineer replied. "We can fabricate a replacement, but it will take at least 7 planetary rotations with our limited resources. 7 days stranded on an uncontacted world," Nera muttered. "Perfect. Talon, what do we know about these humans?" The science officer consulted his database. "Bipedal mammals. Social structures organized into nation-states. Technology level rated as early industrial during our last survey. Highly territorial and prone to internal conflicts." "That survey is centuries old," Nera reminded him. "Get me updated information. Tap into their information networks if you can." Lyran interrupted. "Captain, I'm detecting approaching vehicles. Fast-moving, powered by chemical combustion engines. They spotted our landing," Nera realized. "Security protocols. Non-lethal defensive measures only. Remember, we are representatives of the Kalian collective. First contact protocols apply." Security Chief Varn checked his weapons systems. Non-lethal countermeasures ready. "Should we attempt to hide the ship?" "Too late for that," Nera decided. "Prepare for diplomatic contact. Talon, activate the universal translators." Outside, The first human vehicles arrived. Black SUVs with government markings, followed by military Humvees. Armed soldiers poured out, establishing a perimeter around the alien craft, while communications specialists set up equipment. Inside the ship, Talon's eyes widened as he accessed Earth's digital networks. "Captain, you need to see this." The view screen filled with images of Earth's cities, technology, weapons, and space programs. "This is impossible," Nara whispered. "They've compressed 1,000 years of technological development into just a few centuries. Their development rate is unprecedented in galactic records," Talon confirmed. "And highly concerning. They've developed nuclear weapons, space travel, global communications, and artificial intelligence. They're on the verge of quantum computing breakthroughs." Nara felt a chill run through her body. "And we just crashed in their backyard." A voice crackled over a loudspeaker outside. "Attention, unknown craft. This is Colonel James Mitchell of the United States Strategic Response Division. You have entered restricted airspace and landed on American soil without authorization. We demand immediate communication." "They're surrounding us," Varn reported. "Military vehicles, approximately 60 armed personnel, and more arriving." Nara took a deep breath. "Open external communication." "Channel open," Lyran confirmed. "This is Captain Nara Vex of the Kalian exploration vessel Starward Seeker. We mean no harm. Our ship suffered a critical system failure, forcing an emergency landing. We seek only to make repairs and depart." After a long pause, the human responded. "Captain Vex, we request that you and your senior officers exit your vessel unarmed for direct communication." Varn shook his head. "Captain, I strongly advise against." "Their body language indicates defensive posturing," Talon interrupted, watching the external cameras. "They're frightened but curious." "What else have you learned from their networks?" Nara asked. "Their entertainment media is concerning," Talon replied hesitantly. "They've produced countless scenarios depicting alien visitors as invaders or conquerors. They're conditioned to expect the worst from extraterrestrial contact." Nara closed her eyes briefly. "And we just confirmed their worst fears." "More concerning," Talon continued, "I've detected encrypted communications between this military group and their superiors. They're discussing containment protocols, weapons capacities, and biological countermeasures. They're preparing for conflict," Varn concluded. "No," Nara corrected. "They're preparing for what they believe is an invasion. And from their perspective, that's exactly what we are." She activated the external communication again. "Colonel Mitchell, we understand your concerns. However, our atmospheric adaptation systems require calibration before we can safely exit. I request 2 hours to prepare." This time, the response came more quickly. "You have 1 hour, Captain. After that, we'll consider your refusal as hostile intent." Nara gathered her senior staff in the command center. "Options. We could attempt an emergency launch," Maris suggested. "Bypass the quantum drive and use conventional thrusters." "And go where?" Lyran challenged. "Without the quantum drive, we'd be trapped in this system." "What about our emergency beacon?" Nara asked. "Functional, but the nearest Kalian outpost is 17 light-years away," Talon reminded her. "Help would take weeks to arrive." "By then, these humans could have completely dismantled our ship," Varn warned. "Their technology may be primitive by our standards, but they have numbers and determination." Nara paced the bridge. "There's something I don't understand. If they're this advanced, why hasn't the Galactic Council made contact?" Talon hesitated. "I may have found something in their network that explains that. Accessing a classified database called Project Sentinel, I discovered records of previous extraterrestrial encounters." "What?" Nara stopped pacing. "That's impossible. No spacefaring civilization would violate galactic protocols." "Not a galactic species," Talon clarified. "These records describe a vessel matching Vrex configurations." The entire bridge fell silent. The Vrex, biomechanical predators from beyond the galactic rim, had been a theoretical threat for centuries, with only scattered evidence of their existence. The humans shot it down 70 years ago, Talon continued. They've been reverse engineering the technology ever since. It explains their accelerated development. And why they're so prepared for our arrival, Lyran added grimly. They think we're connected to their previous visitors, Nora realized. We need to convince them otherwise. She straightened her uniform. Prepare for first contact. Lyran, Talon, you're with me. Varn, keep the ship secure, but do not, under any circumstances, activate weapons systems. As the hour deadline approached, Nera stood before the ship's airlock. Remember, we represent not just ourselves or the Kalian collective, but all peaceful spacefaring civilizations. These humans don't know about the galactic community yet. How we handle this will determine whether they join us as allies or enemies. The airlock cycled open, revealing the forest clearing now transformed into a military encampment. Dozens of weapons trained on the three Kalians as they stepped onto Earth soil. Colonel Mitchell approached, flanked by armed soldiers and what appeared to be scientists in hazmat suits. His hand rested on his sidearm, but his expression showed controlled curiosity rather than outright hostility. Captain Vex, he asked, eyes widening slightly at the sight of their translucent skin and four-armed physiology. Yes, Nara confirmed. This is my first officer Lyran and science officer Talon. You speak English, Mitchell noted with surprise. Universal translator, Talon explained. It analyzes language patterns and facilitates communication. One of the scientists stepped forward. Fascinating technology. I'm Dr. Eleanor Chen, xenobiology specialist. Before Nara could respond, the distinctive sound of helicopter rotors filled the air as three military helicopters approached. Mitchell's expression darkened. Captain Vex, I need to inform you that my authority in this situation has just been superseded. He touched his earpiece, listening to new orders. General Williams is assuming command of this operation, and he has different protocols for extraterrestrial encounters. Different in what way? Nara asked, feeling a growing sense of unease. The kind established after our last visitors, Mitchell said pointedly. The ones who came shooting. Nara exchanged glances with her officers. Colonel, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We have no knowledge of any previous contact with your world. Convenient. A new voice interrupted as a stern-faced man in a different uniform approached. General Raymond Williams, United States Space Force. Your ship will be impounded, your technology confiscated, and your crew detained for questioning. That would be an act of war against the Kalian collective, Nara stated calmly, though her heart raced. You declared war the moment your kind first came to our planet, Williams responded coldly. Dr. Chen stepped between them. General, we have no evidence these visitors are connected to the 1947 incident. We have no evidence they're not, Williams countered. And I'm not risking global security on the word of creatures who crashed into our backyard with technology that could destroy our civilization. Nara felt the situation spiraling out of control. Decades of diplomatic training hadn't prepared her for this volatile mix of fear, curiosity, and military paranoia. General Williams, she said firmly, we are peaceful explorers. Our records on your world were outdated. We had no intention of making contact at this stage of your development. Yet here you are, Williams replied. And you'll remain here while we determine the truth. He turned to his officers. Secure the perimeter. No one approaches or leaves the ship without my direct authorization. Prepare the EMP generators as a contingency. As Williams walked away, Mitchell gave Nara an apologetic look. Captain, for what it's worth, not all of us share the general's perspective. Then help us, Nara urged quietly, because what your people don't understand is that there are things out there far worse than us. And if your previous visitors were who we think they were, your world is in more danger than you realize. Unexpected allies. The situation around the Kalian vessel deteriorated rapidly over the next 24 hours. General Williams established a military exclusion zone extending 5 kilometers in all directions, evacuating local residents under the guise of a chemical spill. International pressure mounted as satellite imagery of the distinctive craft leaked to global media despite American efforts to control information. Inside the ship, Captain Nara Vex watched the human news broadcasts with growing concern. Their global leadership is fracturing over how to respond to us. She noted as reports showed emergency United Nations sessions and protests in major cities. Some demand full transparency, others call for immediate military action. Captain, Talon interrupted. I've detected an encrypted communication attempt on an unusual frequency. Someone is trying to contact us directly, bypassing the military cordon. Can you trace it? Nara asked. Approximately 3 kilometers from our position, Talon confirmed. The signal includes what appears to be mathematical sequences, prime numbers, and basic physical constants. Universal communication methods, Lyron observed. Someone intelligent wants to talk. Nara considered their options. Respond with confirmation. Let's see who's reaching out. Meanwhile, in a hastily assembled laboratory at the edge of the evacuation zone, Dr. Eleanor Chen and a small team of civilian scientists monitored their equipment anxiously. They've acknowledged the signal, announced Dr. Sanjay Patel, a quantum physicist who had helped design the makeshift communication system. Now what? Now we do what the military want. We talk to them, Eleanor replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. If General Williams has his way, that ship and everyone aboard it will disappear into some black site facility, and humanity will lose its best chance to understand our place in the cosmos. Not to mention potentially triggering an interstellar incident, added Professor Martin Okonkwo, an astrobiology specialist. If these visitors represent a larger civilization, exactly, Eleanor nodded. Which is why we need to establish independent contact before Williams does something irreversible. Back at the Starward Seeker, Nara made a difficult decision. Varn, I need a distraction at the south perimeter. Nothing harmful, just enough to draw attention. Lyron, prepare a stealth field generator for personal use. I'm going to meet our mysterious communicators. Captain, that's too dangerous, Varn protested. More dangerous than letting General Williams declare us hostile and open fire. Nara countered. These humans reaching out represent our best chance for peaceful resolution. The plan worked with surprising efficiency. A series of harmless light displays from the ship's external emitters drew military personnel to investigate the southern perimeter, allowing Nara to slip through a temporarily unmonitored section of the forest. 3 kilometers felt like 30 as she navigated the unfamiliar terrain, relying on Talon's directions through her communicator. Finally, she reached a small research facility constructed from prefabricated units. Eleanor Chen was waiting outside, accompanied only by her 2 colleagues. Captain Vex, she greeted, unable to hide her wonder at seeing the alien up close. Thank you for trusting us. Dr. Chen, Nara acknowledged. I recognized you from our brief meeting. You're taking a significant risk. Less than you might think, Eleanor replied, leading the way inside. After your arrival, several of us were removed from the official response team for questioning General Williams' approach, but we still have colleagues inside feeding us information. Professor Okonkwo stepped forward. Captain, we believe your ship was drawn here deliberately. The energy signature you detected, it wasn't random. Explain, Nara requested, her silver eyes narrowing. Dr. Patil activated a holographic display showing energy readings. 3 months ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected an unusual quantum fluctuation at the edge of our solar system. Shortly after, this energy signature appeared on Earth, emanating from multiple points. We believe it's a beacon, Eleanor continued, designed specifically to attract the attention of ships with quantum drive technology. A trap, Nara realized with growing alarm, but not set by humans. No, Elmer confirmed. We think it's connected to technology recovered from a crash in 1947. Technology we now know wasn't of your people's design. Nera's translucent skin darkened with concern. The Vrex. We've suspected their scouts have been probing this region of space for centuries. Vrex? Martin questioned. Biomechanical predators, Nera explained. They seek out developing civilizations with potential, infiltrate them, and eventually consume their resources and biological material. They're not part of the galactic community. They're something else entirely. That matches what we found in the recovered craft, Ellinger said grimly. Living metal components, technology designed to interface directly with biological systems. And now they've set a beacon on your world that specifically attracts other spacefaring vessels, Nara concluded. Clever. When ships investigate, your military responds with hostility, potentially triggering conflicts that would weaken both sides. Dr. Patel looked troubled. You're saying we're being manipulated into fighting you, while the real threat positions itself to strike when we're both vulnerable, Nara confirmed. This changes everything. I need to contact my ship immediately. As Nara relayed the information to her crew, Eleanor's team shared everything they knew about the recovered Vrex technology. The picture that emerged was disturbing. Fragments of an advanced infiltration system had been scattered around the planet, gradually activating over decades as humans unwittingly integrated alien components into their own technology. Your accelerated technological development wasn't just from reverse engineering, Nara observed. You were being guided toward specific technologies, the ones most useful to the Vrex when they return. Like cultivating a garden before the harvest, Martin said with a shudder. A sudden alert from Dr. Patel's equipment interrupted them. Energy spikes detected in orbit. Multiple signatures, consistent with the 1947 technology. They're here, Nara stated flatly. And your people will think they're with us. At the military perimeter, General Williams received the alert from Space Command. Multiple objects entering atmosphere. Configuration matches our visitors, but larger. Captain Vex explained this immediately. Only then did he realize the Kalian captain was missing. Find her, Williams ordered, and power up the EMP weapons. If that ship attempts to launch, take it down. Inside the research facility, Nera made a rapid decision. Dr. Chen, I need to speak directly with your world leaders. All of them. Immediately. The Vrex aren't here to study humanity anymore. They're here to collect. The UN Security Council is already in emergency session, Eleanor replied. But General Williams controls all access to them regarding this situation. Then we bypass him, Nara decided. Talon, can you access their global communication networks? Already done, Captain, came the response through her communicator. Standing by. Broadcast on all frequencies, all languages, Nara ordered. And prepare the ship for emergency launch. We need to intercept those Vrex vessels before they deploy. Minutes later, screens around the world, from smartphones to giant displays in Times Square, flickered as Nera's face appeared. People of Earth, I am Captain Nera Vex of the Kalian Collective. My ship's presence here was unintended, but now serves a crucial purpose. The vessels entering your atmosphere are not our allies. They are Vrex harvesters, an enemy to all sentient life. They have been manipulating your species for decades, guiding your development toward their eventual return. Your military forces alone cannot stop them. We offer our assistance and technology, but we must act now. To your leaders, the choice between fear and cooperation has never held higher stakes. At military installations worldwide, radar operators tracked the 7 incoming craft as they descended toward major population centers. Unlike the crashed Kalian vessel, these ships moved with predatory precision. General Williams watched the transmission with a mixture of anger and uncertainty. When his secure line rang, he wasn't surprised to hear the president's voice. General, stand down and cooperate with the Kalians. That's a direct order. Mr. President, we can't trust. That's not a request, General. Our space-based telescopes confirm multiple hostile craft approaching Earth. The Kalian warnings match our own observations. This is bigger than your vendetta. Back at the research facility, Nera coordinated with her crew as they prepared to face a superior force. The Starward Seeker can intercept one, maybe two Vrex ships with our current capabilities. We need humanity's help for the others. Eleanor's team worked frantically to adapt Earth's defense systems to target the specific vulnerabilities Nera identified in Vrex technology. Our missile guidance systems can be recalibrated to track their energy signatures, Dr. Patel confirmed. But we'll need to distribute this modification globally in minutes. Leave that to us, Martin replied, already coordinating with defense contractors worldwide. Captain, Lyron's voice came through the communicator. The humans are standing down. Their military leaders are requesting coordination protocols. Send them everything we have on Vrex tactical patterns, Nera ordered. And inform Colonel Mitchell we're launching in 5 minutes to intercept the lead vessel. The Starward Seeker rose from the forest clearing, its damaged hull gleaming in the sunlight. Earth's military forces, so recently its jailers, now provided escort as the ship accelerated toward the upper atmosphere. The battle that followed would be remembered in human history as humanity's first stand, a desperate coalition of Earth's military forces fighting alongside their unexpected alien allies against a common enemy. The Kalian vessel, despite its damage, demonstrated technology beyond human comprehension as it engaged the lead Vrex harvester. Meanwhile, Earth's combined air forces, armed with hastily modified weapons, intercepted the remaining 6 ships. The conflict raged across the skies of 3 continents, resulting in the destruction of 4 Vrex craft, while 2 retreated to deep space. The Starward Seeker emerged victorious but severely damaged, limping back to Earth with critical systems failing and several crew members injured. 3 days later, Captain Nera Vex stood before an extraordinary session of the United Nations Security Council, the first extraterrestrial being to address Earth's governing body. The threat has been averted, but not eliminated, she explained. The Vrex will return, likely with greater numbers. Humanity has earned the right to know the truth. You are not alone in this galaxy. There exists a community of spacefaring civilizations governed by the Galactic Council, a body that has, until now, classified Earth as too developmentally unpredictable for contact. Murmurs filled the chamber as world leaders processed this information. Today, I have transmitted a formal recommendation to the Council that Earth be granted provisional membership status, with technological and diplomatic exchange to begin immediately. Your species has demonstrated not only remarkable adaptability and courage, but also the capacity to overcome fear and prejudice when faced with a greater threat. These are qualities valued throughout the galaxy. And what of your ship, Captain? Asked the Secretary General. Your crew. Repairs are underway with the generous assistance of your engineers, Nera replied. We will depart once able, not as intruders who regretted setting foot on your world, but as the first of many official delegates to a promising new member of the galactic community. As Nera concluded her address, she reflected on the irony of their situation. What began as a catastrophic navigational error had transformed into one of the most significant diplomatic breakthroughs in recent galactic history. The Kalians had indeed regretted their emergency landing on Earth, but not for the reasons they'd initially feared. In the observation gallery, Dr. Eleanor Chen watched with a sense of wonder as humanity took its first official steps into a larger universe. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with new threats and opportunities, but Earth would not face them alone. And it had all begun with a broken ship and the courage to reach across the boundaries of fear and difference toward understanding.